Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Unless you're new here, in that case, welcome to the channel. Been working on this thing quite a bit lately, but haven't been filming any of it. Haven't really been able to stick to one thing. Like, I got all this welded up in a day, but welding is not fun to watch and it does not make good content. Although we did have a couple of fires up in there because it's got this factory undercoating in here. And that factory undercoating is pretty flammable. I don't know if you guys know that. But, like, I did that, and then I'm trying to get the rear window to work, and it is absolutely killing me. I'm trying to figure this out. And I'll explain to you why here in just a second. Also, I removed the headache handles. Much nice. So these first gen 4Runners, the wiring for the rear window is so weird. Like, clearly I don't have a center console, but if I did, right here, there would be some cup holders and then a couple of switches for like the rear wiper, the rear defroster, and roll the window up and down. Obviously that's not here. Nothing here. So that's a problem, because now that I have a hardtop on this deal, I need to be able to roll the window up and down. But I can't just, get the window up and leave it up, because if you guys remember, I have a fuel cell in this, so I have to be able to roll the window down to put fuel in the thing. So I wanted a functional window. So I started right here by putting a two-way momentary switch, or whatever you want to call it, with a spring center. That did literally nothing. So I started doing some research, and oh gosh, right here on the inside is the relay box for the rear wiper, the rear defroster, all the safety switches, power to the key switch, which is a whole nother problem. But all that stuff is right here. And I started making a video on this, but it wasn't very good. It wasn't exciting. And it wasn't a solution. So I just deleted all the footage and, had a tantrum, and it was whatever. So basically, I think I still have it out here. Let me find it. Stupid wind. So inside this quarter panel is this box right here. It's a 12-volt power window relay. Got a bunch of pins up in here. Basically, there's only 4 wires in here that you need to run your back window, and they're thicker than the rest of the wiring. It's like blue and yellow, what's the other color? White and black. And I think the power wire is purple, but I could be wrong. I can't remember. But I cut those 4 wires, hooked them up to individual 40 amp 12 volt relays, like the 5-prong relays, in an attempt to send power back to the window, which, just basically disconnected the power to everything else. This top doesn't have a rear wiper, so I didn't care about that. The window is not a defrosting window, so I didn't care about that. That stupid switch right there is I don't remember what it's called, but it basically is a switch to just tell, it's basically a switch that requires a certain length bolt when you have the hard top on, that presses down on that switch and completes the circuit and allows power to come back to your tailgate so you can roll the window up and down. Because obviously if the top is off, you don't want the window up. Stupid, but makes sense. Also, that little relay box sends power back to here, because you can put your key in and roll the window up or down from the outside without having to get in the cab. None of that stuff works. So I went back, I wired from the switch to the motor in the tailgate. I got it to roll up about that far, and then it started popping fuses. Couldn't find the fuse, so I ran a new power wire from this relay box all the way to the battery. Still pop fuses. So I figured the motor was bad because, you know, it only went up that far and then that was it. So yesterday I put a motor in the thing, and guess what? It still doesn't work, as you saw when I hit the switch on the demonstration. So I think what I'm going to do is, since I still have what's left of that plug in there without the 4 big wires for the window, I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the factory wiring, and then I think I'm going to jump the 2 wires out of that switch back together so it completes the circuit. And then inside the tailgate right here where the close latch is, there's a switch that basically just kills the power to everything here, because if the door's not open, the window won't work, right? So you can see those 3 wires. Well, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see it in here, but there's 3 wires in there. It is red and blue with a red stripe, green with a red stripe, and a white. And the white is a ground. So I'm going to get in there, pull that switch, and put like a Scotch lock to just put those 2 wires together. And I hope that that's it, because if that's not it, I don't know what else it could be. I'm kind of at my wit's end with this window. But again, it has to work because I want it to retain the heat for the wintertime. And this thing, once I get all the body welded back together, is going to be parked outside. So I didn't want the soft top just sitting out in the sun or the snow. I don't care if it sits out in the summertime, but I did not want it sitting outside with the snow load on top of it. I know the cage will hold it up, but we've all seen what snow load does to soft tops. And that soft top's a lot of money, so I don't want to have to buy another one. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together as I just explained it, and hopefully that works, but that's not even the point of today's video. That was just a little bit of a update on what's been going on with this thing and why I haven't been filming content, because I've been out here pretty much just, you know, slamming my fingers in the doors. This is the purpose of today's videos. You should already know what these are if you're a Toyota guy, but if you don't, stick around. Once I finish this window, I'll learn you what those springs do. Wish me luck on this window. Okay, so I got the relay reinstalled. I couldn't really show you guys very much. I tried to, but it was kind of hard because I didn't really want to take all of this shit back apart, because I've taken it apart like 7 times in the last couple of days. But it's back in. Now I got to jump back here. And like I said, jumper the 2 wires off of this switch and then get in the tailgate and put all that stuff back together. But for the record, climbing in the back of a first-gen 4Runner with racing seats and a roll cage is not nearly as enjoyable as it sounds for an adult. Climbing in through the back window is not much better, because then you got to climb over the seat without bumping your head on all the pipes, and it's an adventure. But I enjoy having the peace of mind and having the safety for my family back here. So, you know, hopefully this is the end all be all, and I won't have to climb in this back seat anymore. Then it won't be my problem after that. Also, if you have a first-gen 4Runner and you're trying to locate a rear window motor, because these are very elusive and the factory number doesn't cross over to hardly anything, there is your Dorman part number right there. But if you don't want to look it up through that number, as far as I know, that is the same as the passenger side power window motor, you know, if you have power windows. But that part number Aside from having to do some electrical, because this is kind of a one-size-fits-all type of deal, and it comes with a bunch of different plugs. I had to cut one and then cut the factory plug off and just butt connect them together. But it is the exact same as this guy right here. It's just a little bit shorter here, but everything else is exactly the same, except for that broken off bolt, but that's fine. So yeah, part number Dorman 742-600 will fit your first gen Toyota rear window. So we're here inside the tailgate, and right here on the corner, these two tabs will pull them out. This plug right here is the switch, like the latching mechanism. Basically, there's a lock or a switch inside right here, what closes when the latch is shut all the way. And it is apparently a common problem on these 4Runners. I know the yellow Scotch lock is a bit too big, but it's the only one I had, so shut up. Now in theory, that penetrated those two wires, but we'll see what happens. And make sure you plug this back in, and then pop it right back into place like that. Now, let's put, this is probably a bad idea, but let's put our cover back on. Because I like, making sure that this thing gets torn apart every 26 minutes or whatever the hell it is for the last 4 days. I'm pretty much at my wit's end with this window, so I don't know what else to do here. It's not that it's not like going up all the way, it's just not going up at all. Now hopefully that's everything. Push the lock down just to make sure that it's like the best chance possible. Look. Still no window. I'm so tired of this window problem, dude. I don't get it. Like I'm a pretty decent mechanic and I'm good with electrical, but I have no idea what this problem is. Because I can take a battery directly to the motor and move the window up and down, no problem. But attempting to use the factory wiring is the problem. And I don't understand why. Anyway, we're going to move on. I'm beyond irritated with this window, so we're going to move on from it for a couple of days. I got a tarp. We're just going to come in here and show you the purpose of today's video. Welcome to the underside of my giant 4Runner. Now, let me find them again. Where did I put them? Oh, right there. Now these are HD detent springs for the transfer case, because my front case, my crawl box, if it's in high range and if I let off the gas to shift, the crawl box will pop into neutral. It will stay in low range, but it will pop into neutral from high range. So I'm hoping that just changing the detent springs fixes this, but I'm not sure. Okay, so clear up there at the very top, right there is where my detent spring is located. There's a 6mm Allen head, and it's a 6mm Allen head, and that's the plug I have to take out to access a detent spring on the front case anyway. On the rear case, it's on the driver's side. which is weird, but you know, whatever. But I don't have a 6mm super socket, but I do have a 1/4 inch, and it seems to fit that plug fairly well. From down here, it is it's not going to be good. So I'm going to try to get a ratchet down from the top. I'm going to leave my light down here, jump up in the cab and see if I can get my ratchet in through that hole right there, through where the shifter boot is, and see if we can get to that bolt that way. And from the top, it's literally right there. That is so much easier. Little tiny turns. We'll be back. So as it turns out, this is not the right move, because I just spent literally 20 minutes trying to get it switched over from off to on, smashed up against the trans tunnel down here. So this seemed like the better option. Because this, I can get back out of there and drop it on the ground. Okay, I'm going to use a regular Allen wrench and get this out of here, and then we'll be back. 2 hours later. We have changed our position a little bit. We got it loose with this one, but there's not enough room in here to turn the Allen wrench and then grab another bite. So I've got my super socket bit down on there, just not the ratchet in there with it. If you're smarter than me, which hopefully you are, because I'm kind of dumb, you'll just put a jack under your transfer case and lower it down a little bit, because this is stupid. It's like hand cramp city down here. And the worst part is, this is supposed to be the easy part. Well, this has become the most ridiculous assortment of tools I think I've ever seen to remove a plug. But we're getting it now. And not getting tools stuck, that's the important part. However, as I previously stated, hopefully you're smart enough to drop your transfer cases, or at least, you know, lower them a little bit to get your hand in from the bottom. I cannot, because I don't have a floor jack that will go up high enough to hold this thing, because this 4Runner is ridiculously tall. But this seems to be working okay. Now that I have it loose, I'm going to take this little guy out and put this one back in there and see if I can just use my fingers to back it out, and then we'll carry on with the lesson. I'm starting to think that Clancy put some kind of a hex on this thing, because seriously, every time I go to work on it, I swing and I miss. This isn't even the right plug. Now I gotta fight this damn thing and get it put back in there. We'll be back. Well, it is not a good time, but insert clip of McLovin here saying it's in. So I don't think the problem was detent springs the whole time, because without the boot on, thing stays in perfect. But with the boot on, even just sitting here, if I pull it down into high, it'll pop up into neutral, which tells me that the boot is the problem. Now I just have to figure out a solution. And no, I'm not just going to get rid of the boot, because I like it, you know, not allowing the hot air to come up through the floor. But I got to figure out a solution to modify this boot to make it, you know, a little less bulky right here, but still be airtight. So now the fun starts. Situation update. I'm as I've been telling you guys for a while, I am an idiot. I really should have just, done a little bit of research before I ordered parts and started tearing a bunch of stuff apart. Because look at this. When you pull it down into forward or down into high, look what it does to the shift boot. This is why it was pulling itself up out of gear. It had nothing to do with the detents. The detents are good and strong. They're holding it in place. That was not the right shift boot. It probably was at one time, but it's definitely not now. So I fixed the problem, and now I have 6 Marlin Crawler HD D10 springs for something, for just in case they go out later for Justin. And I'm just going to go ahead and order a new set of aftermarket shift boots for this. These ones have the Marlin, I believe they're Marlin or Trail Gear. That's Trail Gear. This one has the Trail Gear shift boot because it has the Trail Gear twin stick in it. These ones I'm going to have to just order aftermarket because that's no bueno. But I'll bet money it stays in high range now. So this whole video was kind of a waste, but gotta make content and gotta keep fixing stuff on this 4Runner. Nothing like big is wrong. We went out over the weekend and I don't know, we put 15 or 20 miles on it off-road. It was perfect. Rode great, ran great, didn't have any issues at all. Other than just stupid little things like, not having a working rear window and my high range jumping out, which we have solved one of those 2 problems. As far as me and this back window go, I think this is going to be war. Because I have to figure this out. I can't not have that back window working. I mean, I guess I could, just be ghetto and like tape plastic or something in there, but I don't want to do that. I want to have a working window. So I don't know. I'm going to keep messing with it and keep attempting to figure out what the problem is. So yeah, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Send your friends over and stuff. Because we've been at this game for a while and our subscribers are they're not growing like they should. We can't monetize yet. It's really, it wears on you after a while, you know what I mean? But that's going to be a wrap for this video for now. But there's definitely more 4Runner stuff coming after I finish all of this stuff here. But again, I'm not going to do that on camera because welding is not fun to watch. So once I get the body welded back together, we'll get back into high gear on content on this deal. But until then, thanks for watching, guys. Remember, your dreams don't work unless you're willing to, and don't let stupid little problems defeat you. No matter how many times you slam your fingers in that door, just keep trying. Thanks for watching, guys.